tonight on First at 9 this Saturday the 21st of September 2024. Sri Lanka waits. Polling for the 2024 presidential election concludes with a voter turnout of almost 75%. First results expected by midnight. Presidential polls 2024 the most peaceful in recent history, claim election watchdogs. To each their own. Frontrunners of the presidential poll cast ballots at their respective polling stations. Rapid response. Security forces ready to fully implement curfew laws if necessary, says the Public Security Minister. Ready, set, go. Derana 24 starts election results coverage. All set to bring the latest results of the presidential poll 2024 to your doorstep.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
වැඩිම මනාපෙන් ජනතා තේරීම මෙවරත්
සුදේශී ඔරිජිනල් කුහුඹම තමයි.
From Derana, this is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. Hope you're having a peaceful and pleasant evening post-elections. I'm Aditya Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now, on your top story this evening, polling for the 2024 presidential election concluded earlier this evening with almost 75% the eligible voters casting their votes to elect Sri Lanka's 9th executive president. With polling concluding, the first results of the election are expected at midnight tonight. Election officials as well as election observers are of the view that this year's election is the most peaceful in Sri Lankan electoral history.
For the 2024 presidential election commenced this morning. 17,140,354 Sri Lankans were eligible to vote in this year's poll to elect the country's 9th executive president. With the polls opening at 7 a.m. this morning, voters arrived at polling centres to cast their votes.
I'm at the Swami Vivekananda polling centre in Colombo 13. What we observed during the day is that people came here to cast the vote with much enthusiasm. The presidential election 2024 is a crucial election that will be held in Sri Lanka following the economic crisis the country experienced in 2022. 17.1 million voters are eligible to cast their vote, and out of that number, 1.7 million voters are based in Colombo. There are 1,024 polling centres located across the Colombo district. I'm Chamut Fernando reporting to Derana from Swami Vivekananda College in Colombo.
I'm here at the polling centre located at the College House building of the University of Colombo. Large crowds arrived to cast their ballots to elect the 9th executive president of Sri Lanka. We observed that the setting here remains peaceful, while security within and around polling centres are also tightened. As of 4 p.m. today, 75% of voters in Colombo have cast their ballots. Voting closed at 4 p.m. today, and as you can see, after ballots have been casted, election officials will then transport the ballot boxes to the counting centres. There are 49 counting centres located across Sri Lanka, and within Colombo, DS Senanayake College and Royal College are the two counting centres. Ballot boxes will be transported to 1,713 counting centres across the island. I'm here at Royal College, one of the main counting centres in Colombo, where ballots casted by voters in Colombo will be tallied shortly. I'm Derana reporting for Derana.
According to the Election Commission, the overall voter turnout for this year's election stood at around 75%. In the Western Province, voter turnout in the Colombo district was recorded at 75%, while the turnout in the Gampaha and Kalutara districts were recorded at 80% and 75% respectively. Meanwhile, in the Southern Province, the Gold district recorded a voter turnout of 74%, while the Matara and Hambantara districts saw turnouts of 76% and 78% respectively. In the Central Province, voter turnout in the Kandy, Nuwara and Matale districts were recorded at 78%, 80% and 79% respectively. Meanwhile, in the Sabaragamuwa province, both Ratnapura and Kegol districts recorded turnouts of 75% each. The Kurunegala and Puttalam districts of the northwestern province also recorded turnouts of 75% each. In the eastern province, a 76% voter turnout was recorded from the Trincomalee district, while the Batticaloa and Ampara districts recorded turnouts of 69% and 70% each. In the Uva province, the Badulla district recorded a turnout of 73%, while the Monaragala district's turnout was 77%. The north central provinces, Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa districts saw voter turnouts of 75% and 78% respectively. In the northern province, the Jaffna district saw a turnout of 61%, Kilinochchi 68%, Mana 72%, Vaunia 72% and Mullaitivu 71%. Election officials as well as election observers are of the view that the 2024 presidential election is the most peaceful in Sri Lanka's electoral history.
Considering the current situation, we can say the situation is calm. Regarding the election law violations, we can be satisfied because we have received more than 40 election-related incidents during the election day. Out of 40 incidents, there are none of incidents related to election violence. However, there are election law violations and all are minor and there's no major incidents. None of such incidents affected the overall election process.
We are happy to announce these 9 presidential elections went in a peaceful manner. This is the most peaceful elections recent history which we have observed. We are not happy with the social media behavior in this election. Some social media pages, they went with the paid advertisement, even the cooling period. So PAFRL is preparing a specific report on social media this time, and we will discuss with the Elections Commissions and other legal authorities to take some actions in the future to prevent such a situation during elections period.
We can officially announce that this presidential election was held peacefully. However, minor violations of election laws were observed. We have arrested 10 individuals who violated election laws. The counting of votes has now commenced, and with the publication of results, we will declare the commencement of the post-election period. We request the public not to gather together to watch election results. Roadblocks will be set up and the anti-riot unit will also be deployed. No one will be allowed to conduct marches or rallies after the election results are released. If you need to report any incident, please contact 119 118 and 107.
This election will go down in history as the most peaceful one conducted so far. The counting of votes is the next step of the process. At the moment, ballot boxes containing postal votes have been distributed to the counting centres for the counting to begin. In centres where ordinary votes are to be tallied, the counting of votes will commence once the ballot boxes are received by those counting centres.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
Meanwhile, candidates contesting the 2024 presidential election cast their votes and joined the rest of Sri Lanka in choosing the 9th executive president.
Independent candidate President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who contested under the gas cylinder symbol, cast his vote at the polling station located within the University of Colombo.
Sir, what are your hopes from this election this time, sir?
My hopes are for Sri Lanka, that we'll have a developed Sri Lanka. As I said, Sri Lanka can and Sri Lanka will.
People have been asking for a new Sri Lanka, the vision of a new guard perhaps. You know, it's a fight between the old guard and the new guard.
No. The old guard ran away. I am putting a new policy for Sri Lanka.
Sir, what is the one thing that you think you will be able to deliver at the earliest to Sri Lanka and Sri Lanka?
I have already delivered. I've taken this country out of bankruptcy. I will now deliver Sri Lanka with a developed economy, developed social system and a developed political system. Where leaders don't run away.
I am thankful to those who are here to cast their vote for me. We would not have been able to hold this election had Sri Lanka's instability continued. We managed to hold the election peacefully. The number of complaints is low. I request everyone to act peacefully. We will move forward on a new journey. I thank the Election Commission and all other candidates who contested the election.
ඒ වගේම මේ ඡන්දයට සහභාගී වුණ සියලු අපේක්ෂකයන්ටත් මැතිවරණ කොමිසමට මගේ ස්තුතිය ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa, the presidential candidate of the Samiki Jana Sandhanaya, exercised his right of franchise this morning at the Kotuwegoda Rajamaha Viharaya in Rajagiriya.
ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදය ජයග්‍රහණය කරවමින් සාමයෙන් මිත්‍රශීලීත්වෙන් ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදීව මේ මැතිවරණ කටයුතු ක්‍රියාත්මක කිරීම අපි සෑම දෙනාගේම වගකීමයි යුතුයකමයි.
The presidential candidate of the National People's Power, Anura Kumara Disanayaka, meanwhile, cast his ballot at the Abhay Singharama temple in Panchikavatta.
I believe that this election will be a decisive one that will change the course of Sri Lankan history. A person's ability to support a political party and vote for it at their own volition is a distinct feature of democracy. We have to protect it. Violence and conflict must not take place this election. We request the people to celebrate the victory peacefully.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Presidential candidate of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Namal Rajapaksa, arrived at D.A. Rajapaksa Vidyalaya this morning to cast his vote.
ඉතාමත් කෙටි කාලයක් ඇතුළත ස්වේච්ඡාවෙන් මැදිහත් වෙච්ච බොහෝ පිරිසක් නිසා අපිට ඉතාමත් සාර්ථක මැතිවරණයක් ව්‍යාපාරයක් කරන්න හැකියාව ලැබුණා. ඉතින් මට විශ්වාසයි ජනතාව නිදහස් සාමකාමීව ගිහිල්ලා තමන්ගේ හෘද සාක්ෂියට එකගව ඡන්දය ප්‍රකාශ කරයි කියන කාරණය.
Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the Sarvajana Balaya, Dilip Jayavira, exercised his franchise at Sri Chandrarama Temple in Mirihana.
අපි විශ්වාස කරනවා සතුටුදායක කියන්නේ දැක්මක් සංකල්පයක් ඒ සංකල්පය ඉටු කර ගැනීම සඳහා මේ ආදරණීය ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් මව්බිමට ආදරය කරන සියලු දෙනාම එකතු කරගෙන අපිට මේ ගමන යන්න පුළුවන් කියලා.
In the meantime, other presidential candidates, including Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa and Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca, cast their votes at their respective polling stations.
Now, joining the presidential candidates and the public today at the polling centres spread island-wide were the country's legislators and politicians who also exercised their right of franchise in the first election held after Sri Lanka's full-blown economic collapse, which later prompted political turmoil. Accordingly, former presidents, leaders of political parties and incumbent members of parliament were seen casting their votes at polling centres.
Several public representatives arrived at their respective polling centres to cast their vote and elect the 9th executive president of the nation. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena cast his ballot at the Mahamatya Mahavidyalaya in Polhengoda. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa cast his vote at the D.A. Rajapaksa College in Madamulana in Hambantota. Former President Maithripala Sirisena arrived at the Sri Vidyaloka Viharaya in Polonnaruwa to cast his ballot today. Similarly, former President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga was seen arriving at the Vidyananda Mahapirivan in Nittambuwa to cast her vote. Meanwhile, lawmakers representing the Colombo district in Parliament cast their ballots at polling centres today. Incumbent MPs representing the Kalathara district in Parliament were also seen exercising their right of franchise. Several legislators of the Gampaha district were also seen at the polling centres this morning. Lawmakers of the Kurunegala electoral district were seen casting their votes at several polling centres spread throughout the district. Further, politicians based in the Anuradhapura district also took to the polls to cast their ballots. Similarly, in Polonnaruwa, several public representatives made their way to the polling centres to cast their votes. In the Badula district as well, several representatives of the people were seen casting their votes to elect the 9th executive president. Politicians based in the Kandy district were also seen exercising their right of franchise alongside the general public. Politicians of the Galle district too headed to the polling centres to cast their ballots. Representatives of the public based in Mathura followed suit and cast their votes in the hotly contested 2024 presidential election. Politicians advocating for the people in the Hambantota district headed to the polls and joined the public in choosing the country's 9th executive president. Meanwhile, in Kegal, several politicians cast their votes at polling centres spread throughout the electoral district. Similarly, legislators of the Monragala electoral district exercised their right of franchise with the general public. Several lawmakers elected by the people of Nuwara were also seen at polling centres casting their ballots as well. Politicians based in Jaffna also made their way to the polling centres to cast their votes. Similarly, public representatives of the Wani district also cast their votes. Public representatives of the Digamadulla electoral district also cast their ballots today. MPs and politicians of the Ratnapura district also made their way to the polling centres where they joined the general public in choosing Sri Lanka's 9th executive president.
Now, in other election-related updates, Minister of Public Security Derana says that the authorities are ready to fully implement curfew laws stricter than ever before to curb the eruption of violence in the post-election period. Minister Derana hailed this election as the most peaceful election in Sri Lanka's history and urged the public to maintain the peace.
We have been doing a good job securing the country. The Tri-Forces and the police have collaborated to ensure that the entire island is safe and secure. This election seems to be a peaceful one. I thank the police and the general public for making it so. I request everyone to remain peaceful throughout the day today and tomorrow as well. No matter who wins the election, people must not disrupt the peace. We will not entertain violence under any circumstances. We will use the maximum amount of force required to curb such violence. If necessary, we will impose curfew and implement it more seriously than ever before. I request you to keep the peace. Don't make way for violence. It has been very peaceful. This election held under the incumbent president must be the most peaceful election in history, since only a minimum amount of election-related complaints were made.
As Sri Lanka eagerly awaits the results of the presidential poll, Derana is set to bring to you the latest election updates today using cutting-edge technology and graphics. The latest election results of this crucial presidential election will be brought to you through Derana's special election coverage titled Sri Lanka Decides.
In view of the 2024 presidential election, Derana's election coverage kicked off this morning at 7:30 a.m. to keep the viewers posted on the latest updates of the presidential race. Starting off with Derana Aruna at 7:30 a.m., Derana's special election program Sri Lanka Decides was then broadcast on TV Derana and Derana 24 from 8 a.m. onwards. With production teams and correspondents stationed in each district, Derana managed to bring you all the latest updates of the presidential election 2024 throughout the day. The live coverage of Sri Lanka Decides, organised to announce election results, commenced at 7:30 p.m. in order to provide all results as soon as they are released by the Election Commission. Studio 24 in Colombo, the largest news studio in South Asia, is equipped with cutting-edge technology to deliver the latest updates to you with live graphics. Our live presidential election coverage is visible on Derana 24 through the channel number 14 on both Dialogue and Pure TV. Moreover, election results will be publicised through FM Derana, the Derana.lk website, as well as through the Derana text alerts. In addition, the latest election results and updates will also be posted on our YouTube, Facebook and X social media accounts.
For the latest business updates, join us on the other side with this short commercial break. Stay with us.
Star dishwasher Dali Tel Indul Pahasuwen Sede. Star dishwasher magic tub එක.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Welcome back. Now in your business news, the Colombo Plan, a regional intergovernmental organization with 28 countries, will help the Sri Lanka Ports Authority build capacity through a 3-year maritime advisory program. The program aims to help Sri Lanka meet complex maritime challenges and focuses on enhancing maritime safety, security and connectivity with an aim to foster collaboration and knowledge exchange. The Maritime Advisory Program has funding support from the U.S. Department of State's Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs via the U.S. Embassy in Colombo. The Colombo Plan is the only intergovernmental organization based in Sri Lanka and implemented programs including the Drug Advisory Program, Gender Affairs Program, Capacity Building Program and the Program for Economic and Climate Change. And now here's a look at some corporate news in brief.
The NDB Bank, together with the University of Sri Jayawardenepura, entered into a memorandum of understanding to enhance the future of Sri Lanka's financial sector. This partnership symbolizes NDB's commitment to bridging the gap between academia and industry, providing a platform where young talent can thrive and contribute to the evolving landscape of banking and finance. Additionally, this collaboration will offer students a wealth of opportunities, from internships and training programs to collaborative research initiatives. Meanwhile, Jetwing Hotels Limited has announced that it will no longer manage GG Beach Hotel in Parnadura as of the 19th of September this year. This decision comes after a mutual agreement with G Lanka Developing Construction and Engineering Private Limited, the hotel's owning company. Following this transition, G Lanka will independently manage the operations of the hotel. In other corporate news, Colombo Land and Development Company PLC formed the Nominations and Governance Committee with effect from the 19th of September this year. Accordingly, MDS Gunatilaka was appointed as the independent non-executive director and the chairman of the committee, while MDA Veerasurya and PS Pereira are the independent non-executive directors of the company.
Now in some international business news, America's 3 Mile Island energy plant, the site of the worst nuclear accident in US history, is preparing to reopen as Microsoft looks for ways to satisfy its growing energy needs. Microsoft said it had signed a 20-year deal to purchase power from the Pennsylvania plant, which would reopen in 2028 after improvements. The agreement is intended to provide the company with a clean source of energy as power-hungry data centers for artificial intelligence expand. Constellation Chief Executive Joe Dominguez told analysts that the deal was a powerful symbol of the rebirth of nuclear power as a clean and reliable energy source. According to a study by the Brattle Group cited by Constellation, reopening the plant would create 3,400 direct and indirect jobs and add more than 800 megawatts of carbon-free electricity to the grid, generating billions of dollars in taxes and other economic activity. That's all the news we have for you tonight. Stay constantly in touch with us for the latest election updates. Thank you. Have a great night.